Pablos, no nobodies. I am here with the express desire to just hang out and chat. Yesterday we got some interesting insights again from both Cameron and Doomcock about what's going on, including an implication that public enemy number one, Chief Flying Monkey Pablo, is on his way out. So the other day I was screwing around on Twitter, and went over to Pablo's new Twitter account, and some guy who's one of these idiots who thinks the High Republic is good was going on and on about how it was great seeing the High Republic get ordered more wholesales for it. Hey, how are you doing, Yotam? The wholesales, more wholesales for High Republic. And I'm like going, really, wholesales? Because that is an indication it's been such a success. And of course, Pablo, retweeted it. And I ask a question. If it's such a success, okay, thanks for the like. If it's such a success, why aren't they talking about it on the YouTube channel anymore? Why aren't they, hawking it in other Star Wars areas? Why is it only Disney books? And why, when they do hawk it, it doesn't get mocked? I doubt anybody out there heard that Kevin Scott's new book was even released, but it's out there. I saw it. I took pictures. It was at one of the Targets that we have in the area. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to check this out. But I hadn't seen, there wasn't any fanfare for it. There wasn't any money spent. There's absolutely no mention of it anywhere but, Disney books. And I'm like, okay, so it's a really big success, wholesale. That to me says that it's getting sold in a bundle to things like Scholastic. Okay, those guys, you guys remember those? I mean, that company's still around. And every Friday, your teacher would hand out you this thing. It was like a catalog. And you could go through with the books you wanted. And your mom and dad would give you a check or money for it. And the teacher would collect the money and send in the order. And your books would come in. I ordered a ton of books like that when I was a kid. And yeah, that company's still going strong. And the last time I heard of anybody wholesale buying High Republic books was Scholastic, so it probably is Scholastic. That doesn't mean that it's going to end up, being sold. I mean, the kids still have to buy it from Scholastic. And, they're not. I mean, people just are not buying these novels. Hey, Bone. Okay. Thanks. So, but seeing Pablo retweet it with a like kind of almost made me feel sorry for the guy. And the reason is this. Here's a guy who had all the chances in the world, worked at every geek's. Oh, okay, so they did have it on the Star Wars channel. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't see it, C-Man. My bad. This guy gets a job. It's every nerd's dream, working at Lucasfilm on Star Wars. And instead of trying to soak up everything, I mean, think about this. He got to Lucasfilm around the same time Dave Filoni did. And look at where he is now. He hasn't gone anywhere, really. He hasn't been promoted out of where he's been for the last, 8 years. He's just there, okay? It says a lot about what the higher ups really think about him, all right? And he's got to be bitter over Filoni. And I'm going to say this. If you honestly think that Pablo knows more about Star Wars than Dave Filoni, he doesn't. Good, that's good. So, it's getting downvoted, no one's buying it. This big initiative that they blame Luke Skywalker and Jon Favreau for hurting. It was already dead. It was already being mocked. In fact, the character introductions a year ago were laughed right off of. They had to go back and be redesigned. And the reason is they looked stupid. They were stupid, okay? But here we are. And, with the implication, the whoever comes in, be it Favreau or somebody else, or maybe even George himself, we don't know. But I'm going to tell you something. The rumor that George was coming back has been rearing its head ever since 2018. In fact, I remember a rumor, not just cited by a few people, that said he was in Ireland scouting locations for some show. And, he showed up on the set of Game of Thrones and met those two assholes. And then suddenly you see Jon Favreau pitching the Mandalorian thing with Dave Filoni and them saying, we'll give him a chance. That was George Lucas backing that up. He went to meet the other two, and he was like, they don't know what they're doing. They really don't. And they admitted it. And it's like, no. So I think Lucas has been a quiet word to Iger rather than Kennedy. And if he comes in and sees the lack of success, the silliness that has gone on. Oh, I know. The silliness that has gone on. The people who did it and the people who weren't successful are dead. They're gone. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. But that's the way it is. And it's just, it's got to be that way. It's too bad. It's very difficult for some people to understand why incompetence can't be rewarded. But a lot of this is incompetence. I mean, here's the deal. The people behind the High Republic, and I'm talking people that actually work at Lucasfilm, not the contract writers, and the people at the High Republic, or the story group, really cared about Star Wars and really knew what they were doing, they would have absolutely said, we can't do this. Instead, they went whole hog into it, and now look what we got. Attacking fans, etc. I mean, in some ways, when you look at what's going on with Pablo, I have to say this, it is karma. It is karma. Okay? It is absolute karmic justice. Excuse me. If he goes before Kennedy goes, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. He'll be gone before Kathy. Okay. He's been thrown under the bus. All right. She's probably made it very clear who she blames. And it's not hard. I mean, put it this way. I think it was Midnight's Edge saying, how can you be a low-level executive, a story group guy, and be such a shit that the CEO and the chairman of the board of the mother company have to get together and talk about you. Think about that. But that is probably what happened. Because they're trying to figure out, why aren't we making money on this? Well, first off, it's stupid and the fans hate it and think it's hilarious. Well, who came up with it? He did. Okay, what's his story? Well, he treats customers like shit. He goes on Twitter and calls people names. He got himself mixed up in Ryan Johnson's internet Twitter bullying of fans who didn't like The Last Jedi. He's very unpopular. Hopefully today, I hope he does, or maybe tomorrow. He's probably working on it now. I don't know. Maybe he made a two-parter. I don't know. We have to wait. I mean, it usually comes up. What time is it? Maybe in like an hour. Maybe. I don't intend on being on till after 2 because I've got other stuff I've got to do. The Bobs are probably going, how does this guy cost us so much money and so much goodwill? And the tweets come out. And the fact that the people at Disney saying, we have receipts, the fans have receipts, showing, a whole blog called Disney Star Wars is Dumb is dedicated to the way Lucasfilm has been treating the fans. And we're getting blamed for it. It really wouldn't surprise me that was the conversation. Just like it doesn't surprise me if it could have been Iger screaming at Kennedy, because Iger supposedly has a very volatile temper. So it really wouldn't surprise me at all that it would be Iger, rah, at Kennedy. What was it? Here's why a boss that yells and screams doesn't really get stuff done unless there's a way to do it, like Vince Lombardi, Coach Lombardi, or George Patton. And there's other ways to do it. My dad was like this too. Meryl Streep was asked, who was the example you used when you were creating Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada? She said Clint Eastwood. She fashioned Miranda after a man. And it worked. It really, really worked. And she said, he is very effective without raising his voice. And when you watch any of his movies, from, Man with No Name, even Heartbreak Ridge, Gran Torino, he never yells. He just knows how to say the words that get people's attention. And my husband, who only yells at the dog, because shepherds, if they're doing something they shouldn't be and you want their attention, you have to like that. And then a loud, deep voice, all right? And you get their attention. But my husband said, you would not believe how easy it is to make a man cry by just whispering to him. It just all is in your attitude, and it's really something. So when I think of a guy screaming and yelling like Iger may have, I'm not impressed. I don't, my dad never yelled at me unless he was trying to get my attention. Okay? Like if I was off doing something and he thought it was dangerous, he'd bark out my name and I'd stop dead. But usually you knew you were in trouble if you walked into the kitchen and he was sitting at the table reading a book and he just went like this. He didn't have to say anything. Oh, do I think it hurts his... Iger's never going to be ambassador to anything, and he knows it. I mean, and if he's trying to save his legacy so he can run for president, good luck. You know, they're not. First off, in 2024, and it's so long from now, and who knows? We may end up having a presidential election sooner if that audit in Arizona comes out the way I think it is. We may have something else. Excuse me, God. I wish I had a sneeze thing where the thing would go black. We may end up having something really different going on because the Arizona audit is shedding a lot of light on how bad the fraud was. And if you don't believe there was fraud, I got some oceanfront property in Waterloo, Iowa to sell you, okay? It's cheap, $1 billion, and you can have it. You know, it just... Well, Iger, if we're talking about... When he gave up the CEO-ship to be chairman of the board and then go and start working on fixing Lucasfilm, which is what he's been doing, I think it was already over. And the idea that, let's say, the Democrats hadn't cheated, or the judges in Supreme Courts around the states that fraud was apparent had done their jobs and Trump was still president, we wouldn't be talking about that. Yeah, Eastland, everybody thinks that. One vote, everybody thinks that. I mean, no one would even be talking about, it's weird, Iger being anything. And I'm going to say this. You can tell that the election didn't go the way the Democrats wanted to, and he only won because of what they did. And the reason why you can tell that is the way woke stuff in Hollywood is now starting to get a mean look from the rest of Hollywood, where now China's under the microscope in that relationship. I remember there was a rumor. I don't think so, Troy. I think people will be really upset. I mean, there are a lot of people who would be very happy to walk in to wherever they had to and force the issue. And I think, well, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, there was a rumor out there before the election that Chapek had asked Bill Barr and the DOJ what were the parameters of disengaging from China. So, I'm going to say this. That article could have been right out of Chapek's office. That could be another 4D chess. Because he knows, first off, they're getting screwed. They don't, all right, here's the deal. All right, Fast and Furious made, what, $162 million in China. How much money do you think Universal actually saw of that? Maybe 20 million of it? Okay. The Rise of Skywalker made what, 12 million? I think maybe Disney might have gotten 10 cents from it. So you take all that off of the net. Anything from China, you take I would say a good 80% off of your net box office then. Because and I have people in the business telling me this. China screws Hollywood up and down the Pacific Rim. That's what they do. They've stolen technology. They've been very happy to let studios create the infrastructure for studios there and show them how to do things and then kick them out. And that's what's going on. Second of all, I think there are people in Hollywood going, I think there are people in Hollywood saying this out loud, we bet on the wrong horse. You remember a long time ago, back in the 90s, that free Tibet movement. Richard Gere was part of it. Melissa Matheson, Harrison Ford's wife, was the leader of it. Dalai Lama was everywhere. I think he actually went to an Oscars. Where are they on Tibet now? They sold their souls, and they sold their souls, and that's what it is. They sold their souls for something they thought they could make a lot of money at, and they can't. Why? Because it might be the biggest box office film audience in the world, but you ain't gonna see that money. You're not, because the CCP keeps it. They keep that money, and there you go. So I think JPEG would be very amenable to just cut ties with China completely. I think when you look at it in the long run, I think that's a good idea, because if anybody thinks that Nancy Pelosi is going to be Speaker of the House in 2 years, you're wrong. Anybody thinks that Joe Biden's going to make it to his second term, or Kamala Harris you're wrong. They had one chance to do this, and there's a reason why they're moving so fast. It's because they know that's all they got. That's all they got. And it's really interesting when you look at what's been happening, how quickly it can go back. Hey, good morning, House Atreides. Anyway, so the drama at Lucasfilm. It started, I think, before the Last Jedi. It started, and here's another little clue that someone's getting thrown under the bus. What are you talking about, Eastland? Here's how you know someone's going to be thrown under the bus. JJ, on Collider. Well, we didn't really have a plan. You had George's plan. You threw it away, okay? And you pulled bullshit out of your ass. This is how you know someone's getting thrown under the bus, and it's Kathy. Okay? It's going to be Kathy. And we won't get we're not going to see her frog walked out to a cop car, or, being led out by security guys with a box of all of her shit in it. She'll get the girl buy thing, her, gold watch and everything else. But it's going to be humiliating for her, because everybody will know what she was part of, okay? Everybody. And it'll be very ugly, okay? At Lucasfilm. And I think Eastland, what are you talking about? Some woman from Alaska? Or if you're talking about Sarah Palin. Yeah, I did. And that's what I'm talking. He implied something and then he caught himself. If that's the case, if that's true, this can be a whole new world. And if Cameron's right, and I think he is, that the Wokistanians are on the outs in Hollywood, and you see them putting pronouns into character bios now. It's like, look, this is their last leg, okay? This is their last leg. Let me explain how I know that woke isn't nearly as big as they like it to be. There's a show on Netflix called Meat Eater. The guy who does it is named Steven Ranella. He's a hunter. I wouldn't say he's a truly professional hunter. He goes out and, gets animals. Lots of times he comes back empty-handed. He's also really good friends with Joe Rogan and Brian Callen, who I had no idea was a hunter till I saw the Wisconsin whitetail episode with those guys, and I'm like, Joe Rogan is in, wait, what? My home state. It's one of the more popular shows on Netflix. If everybody was woke, why is a show called Meat Eater so popular? See, that's why I'm going. People don't want to hear about it anymore. Look at Sopranos star Steve Sharippa. He played Bobby Bacala. He's not woke. He's, tells it like it is. You look at these guys and you know that there's enough evidence that the world isn't going that way. Now, the media will make it big so they can get clicks, so they can sell advertisement. And if it bleeds, it leads, and we see it here on YouTube. But I'm telling you, the Wokistanians are on their way out. And if Kathy leaves, and when she leaves, that's it. The woke SJW bullshit in Hollywood will be gone with her. And, where are these people going to work? Because, the reason why, by the way, Cameron does have his Twitter page back. I don't know how he did that. I wish I could figure out how. He told the people at Lucasfilm, you gotta watch. You're not gonna get hired anywhere else. It's people don't want him, and the reason why is he said it. He has friends who are extremely far to the left. They couldn't even get jobs there because of that shit. And it's karmic now. It's backfiring. It's the karmic backlash at Lucasfilm, at Pablo, and the rest of them. Hal Hickel, the rest of them. And it's like it's really going to get interesting in a month or two. It used to be if you went on to like a Facebook, whatever, Star Wars page, official, or whatever, and there was a picture of Kyle Ron or Ray and you mocked it, you would get shit. Now no one's doing it. No one. When you've got people who thought they liked the ST now saying, it really wasn't that good, and you're going, duh! It's happening. It is. And again, when it happens, and what I like about it, it's very quiet. It's very hard to see what's really going on. But it's slowing the backlash that the SJWs, the Raylos, and stuff will have at at the Phantom Menace and the rest when this stuff is announced. I mean, you can't not tell people. I'm not working at Lucasfilm anymore. Pablo Hidalgo. He can't not tell people that in real life. He can't. Okay? And it will come out. Even if they're trying to keep it quiet, it'll come out. And then some legit news source will pick it up and run with it. That's what's going to happen. That's how we'll know. Unless, of course, they decide, fuck it, we'll announce it. And really, what would Disney have to gain by not announcing it? Pretend like it's not happening? There's a comet crashing into the Earth. It's zipping past the moon. It's 2 miles long. Are you going to pretend it's not happening? You know what I'm saying? You can't. So I think definite moves in the next month are going to happen, and I think we're going to know it. I think that it's going to be very apparent then where this is all going. So we'll see. I mean, it's we'll see. It could still be all bullshit. It could still be fake. I mean, part of me is always scared that some dipshit is putting all this stuff out there. Some is trying to get Doomcock and stuff to post lies to get the fandom all, in a buzz, and then, it's the opposite. But the reason why I know that it's not them doing fake hoax shit is because the guys at Midnight Sex, hey, Mexican Iron Man. Oh, shoot. She owns Skillets, and damn, I think her sister's name is Bonnie. Mexican, I'm going to ask my husband, and he's not here, he's at work. I will ask my husband and then try to get a message posted to you somehow with her name. Shit. I know her sister's name is Bonnie, and she owns that souvenir store in that shopping area where Skillets is. They used to have a pasta place too. It was really good. It's now not. They sold it to people who worked for them. Those people left, and it's something else now. Mike and Neil? No, no, it was a woman who owned it. Unless she sold out. I have to dig. Okay, they were really good friends with my husband. When he was a Marine, a series commander at Parris Island, he used to go and hang out there on Hilton Head, and he'd eat at Just Pasta when they owned it, and Skillets, and he'd help them out and do stuff. And like if there was a hurricane coming, he helped them get their house fixed up so it wouldn't blow away. And every time we go there, we eat there. We go over to the store. I buy Christmas ornaments, bring them home. Anyway, you're welcome. But it's called Skillets. Okay, if she's still there, I don't. They used to have a Facebook page, and I don't know. I haven't seen them post in a long time. But some people have a Facebook page and they never use it. I do want to say this: J.W. Rinsler is now a Facebook friend of mine. But anyway, I think a lot of the drama at Lucasfilm has come to a head and is already done. I have no reason not to believe that. I don't think any of us have a reason not to believe that because, how long has, guys like Doomcock and others sat on a lot of this. You know, this like okay, I'll give you an example. Rangers of the New Republic. How long was that being sat on, that news, when everybody kind of figured it was going to be shelved? And I'm surprised that was the actual show. I thought it was a completely different one. But it it doesn't shock me that John and Dave are holding it back till Kennedy's gone. And if they're willing to do that, that tells me Kennedy's on her way out. But I am going to say this. If Gina gets invited back, and maybe she already has been, and Kennedy and all the people that caused her trouble and caused the franchise trouble are gone, and she still says no, I'm done. I'm done. All right. Star Wars is bigger than Gina. It's bigger than one person. And the only person it's not bigger than is George Lucas, okay, and the original cast. You and I'll stand by that. But no actor in a new show that we've only seen for a couple of times should be able to hold a show hostage or whatever like that. And I don't know a lot of people who knew who she was till after she was in Star Wars. So a lot of these people who like her and were pissed are Star Wars fans. Okay? And she owes them. I mean, every one of us have gone to the mattresses for her. Okay? And if she says no, no, it's not bigger than George. Troy, you're did you ever see the Star Trek where Spock is talking to Kim Cattrall as the other Vulcan, and she says, "I can only succeed you, sir"? That should be the attitude of anybody coming into Star Wars to work on it. You will never be bigger than the maker. Okay? Anybody who thinks it's bigger than Lucas doesn't understand if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a Star Wars. And it wouldn't be as big as it was. Okay? And Jon Favreau, and I am standing by it. He is going to be the leader of Lucasfilm. I'm standing by that. All right? Can only look at George and say, I can only succeed you. You're not carrying on your own dream. You're building on what he created. And the problem with Kathy Kennedy is she thought she was bigger than he was, and she was bigger than the franchise. That's the problem with Pablo Hidalgo. Let's go back. I think part of his problem with embitterness is that he was in he was in Revenge of the Sith. He played an alien part, all right, and started working at Lucasfilm, and Dave Filoni came in 2005. Where's Dave Filoni now? Where's Pablo? Do you think there might be some jealousy there? I do. I think there's a lot of jealousy there. Yeah, I mean, and that I understand. But if they're gone and she's offered, I know, Troy, listen, without him, there is no Star Wars. They were there to help, but he was the one with the idea. He was the one with the vision. All right? Okay? You can't have any of this without that. Okay? All right, I don't get people. It boggles the mind sometimes. It's like, well, writing the Declaration of Independence Anybody else could have written it. Thomas Jefferson had to write the Declaration of Independence. Without him and the input from the rest of the committee, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and others, it would not have been what it was. But he was the person who wrote it, whose ideas were on it with theirs. But he was the backbone of it. Okay? Just like the U.S. Constitution. All these people had their ideas in it. But who sat during the Continental Congress voting on it while they worked on it? Who sat there and watched what happened and overlooked everything? George Washington. Without George Washington, there is no Constitution. Without George Washington keeping the army safe, his greatest military attribute was run and hide. Because if the Continental Army gets wiped out, this idea, this whole republic of ours, never would have been a thing. Okay? There are people out there that really are indispensable. Okay? Washington, Lucas, you could look at back in Hollywood history, Irving Thalberg, John Ford, Louis B. Mayer, Jack Warner. Old redneck nerd, if there's... God, you guys don't get it. You really don't. Now I'm getting pissed off. All right? Stop it and listen and think. There's no yeah, but. No, because you're both wrong. Okay? Okay. Star Wars was there, and George just walked in. Here's a question. Do you think we'd be sitting here talking about this franchise right now if it wasn't for him? Do you think Marsha, Lucas? That's really funny, but without Newton, it wouldn't have been there. All right? Again, you have to have a starting point, and don't be a smartass, because I'm really getting mad now. I mean, so here's a question. Think Star Wars would have been there without Lucas? Do you? What about Indiana Jones? Take him out of the equation of both franchises. None. They don't exist. They don't exist. Hence, I'm right. And that's my point. All right? Okay? And when he ran Lucasfilm, that's not what I'm talking about. No shit. Really? God almighty. That's not the point. Actually, what is that supposed to be? We're all inspired by something. Right? I'm inspired. I've been inspired by things. But when I create something, it's because I created it. I thought of it. They didn't. They inspired me. Okay? If it wasn't them, it'd be something else. But I am the one who started it. And if it's good enough and strong enough, somebody respectful enough will pick up the torch and carry it forward after I'm gone. Okay? But without me, that thing that's going forward would not exist. Okay? All right? Do you understand now? All right? God. It's like, geez Louise. I don't believe in the indispensable man except for one. I don't believe in the indispensable man unless it's somebody that when he's not there just can't be replaced. And Lucas is one of them. Harrison Ford is one of them. Mark Hamill is one of them. Carrie is definitely one of them. These are people who are so singular in who they are that oh my God, just stop it. What are you talking about? Thanks, Duke. You know, again, Troy. A plus B equals C equals D. George is inspired. George comes up with Star Wars. He goes to Fox, finally. Okay. We get Alan Ladd Jr. getting the money, $10 million. They go to make the movie, they're over budget. They go back. Hey, Darius. They go back. And the first viewing without the music and the World War II footage cut in. And everyone's going, what the fuck? So the music happens. It goes into editing because editing makes the movie. And you have Star Wars. But without A, you're not going to have it. Decades later, A wants to retire. A can't do it anymore. If A has someone who respects him and understands just how big of a creation that this guy was inspired to create, okay, because it's not bigger than him. Without him, it wouldn't exist. He made it that big, okay? This guy, if he's not inspired by A, is gonna fuck up and then it's gone. But if this guy says to A, I can only succeed you, sir, and carries on, then it goes on, okay? That is a legacy, but it's gotta start somewhere. Inspired by Akira Kurosawa. Okay, so therefore Lucas doesn't count. Akira Kurosawa created Star Wars. What the hell is that? Well, it's you. What came first, chicken or the egg? Okay, think about it. I'm done. Okay, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Oh God, I'm sorry I get mad, but it's like I really wish people would stop and think when I'm trying to impart something. But I gotta say, in my dealings with Indiana Jones fans, the guys are very snippy. Okay, they're very they don't necessarily like having to deal with a woman with an opinion that runs contrary to theirs. It's very interesting, the difference between the franchises. But back to the drama at Lucasfilm. So if George comes back for a year, okay, all this drama will be over by then. In fact, what is it, it's the 27th of May, a year from now. We'll probably be talking about something. Okay, Bone, talk to you later. We'll be talking about other things. You know, what's Mando 3 gonna look like? Blah, blah, blah. But this drama has been going on since George sold the franchise. And there are people at Lucasfilm who hate what Kathy's been doing, and there are people at Lucasfilm who supported her. And that's the, back and forth here, okay? And the people that were George's, George's allies in this, later Darius, okay, yeah. That were inspired by George that worked there have been quiet. Oh, hey! Hey, Zinther 616, how are you? Good to have you. Welcome aboard. I just kind of got mad, which I apologize for. But I really think the Civil War has been going on back and forth. We just haven't heard from the other side. They've been quiet. And the reason why is until, I'd say within the last few months, Kathy's people I am. I am. Kathy's people, hey Daryl, they were basically running rampant because anybody who opened up their mouth, hey Chris, and said anything would get stomped on, fired, and that's what they were worried about. And you know, they're still not saying anything, and but when you watch what's going on, oh, I think bring back Rick McCallum. In fact, if he had been uh, named president of Lucasfilm, uh, that would have, But I think Kathy outmaneuvered him. I do. I think she did something or pulled a fast one, and that's why he left in a huff and in a hurry. But he really was, I think, the guy who should have been number two at Lucasfilm. What should have been the president of Lucasfilm? Because I think if he was, we would not be going through High Republic right now. I mean, I just, you know, yeah, Rick McCallum was a really great guy. John, all right, old redneck nerd, John who? Well, they're not, I mean, here's the deal. If Doomcock is right and they went in to see the Bobs, Just Nova's got a point there too. They went in to see the Bobs with George. I think that Kathy's. I'm not saying that he's going to come back. He's in Europe now. But I think Favreau is probably going to be the one because why is a showrunner going into that meeting? Think about it. Why is a showrunner going into that meeting? Cameron thinks that Jon Favreau's already running Lucasfilm. And we're not going to find out until after Kathy's gone. Yeah, well, you got to remember when Doomcock posted and talked about how Favreau would call Kennedy the Eye of Sauron. If she'd have found out that Skywalker showed up, she'd have tried to kill that. She would have, and he knew it. Yeah, she would have killed it. She would have absolutely lost her shit. She would have absolutely lost her shit if she'd have known. I really honestly think that we're going to see a lot of stuff happening in June. Well, from a business model, yeah, and from just the fact the fans like him. The fans, wow, 37 people in the chat. Hi, all 37 people. Welcome. I did rant a little bit, and I'm sorry. I apologize to Troy and Redneck Nerd. I get frustrated. Okay, and it's a character weakness I have. Not as much as I used to though. This is. I remember when they re-signed Kathy to her next 3-year deal, and I absolutely lost my mind. Well, I think George wants financial power, and I think that he also wants kind of a say in it, and I think And I think I can see him saying, I'll be here for a year to help John set this up. But he wants a stake in this, so it goes the way he wants it to go. They kept him out of it too long, and I think it was probably Kathy. Yeah, leverage. I think, John, here's the deal. George Lucas is a really smart guy. He's a really, really smart guy. I mean, he got all the merchandising rights back in when they were making the deal. Back in 1976, 77. He made billions off that deal. Well, it would. Yeah, Dakari, you're right. And you have George there for a year. He's got a financial stake. He's able to guide the creative process with Dave. Because as much as I love Dave Filoni, he kind of gets on his own little tangent. And it's like, you got to reel him back in. Got to reel him back in. Again, I think sometimes people are so worried about putting their own stamp on it, that they lose sight of that stamp might not be really good for Star Wars. And, you gotta rein that guy in. But, and I think Favreau can too, because I really can't imagine what Star Wars would look like, or what The Mandalorian would look like if it was just Filoni. Dave is a really good guy, but he's not a money guy. He's not that, because it's very rarely you find somebody who can look at the financials and produce, sign the checks, get the licenses, whatever, get the logistics down, and direct, and which is the creative side. Lucas could, Spielberg could, Ridley Scott can, but it's very rare. I know Jon Favreau can, but they could be the next Lucas and Spielberg for all we know. And his background is in production. That's why they have Momita Sengupta there. She's there to just make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and there you go. And like I said, it's very rare to find a one-man army. Nowadays, anyway. Nowadays, it's like, very rare. I mean, I'd say Christopher Nolan, but that's it. When you think about it, I mean, Quentin Tarantino. He's, Jon Favreau, like I said, was inspired, I think, by Lucas when he was a kid. This is a job that anybody who loved movies would have killed for. Aronofsky, yeah, you're right. This is a job that I think, is the dream job for every Generation X Star Wars fan and Indiana Jones fan. This is to be the head of Lucasfilm and have the torch passed on from George to you to carry on his legacy. I really think that is the dream of everybody. And I remember the first movie I ever saw him in, Swingers. Vince Vaughn was in it. And I gotta tell you, it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And it's kind of sad. It was made like in the mid-90s. You guys remember when swing music made kind of a represented was represented again. And it was really it's kind of fun. It's a fun movie. It's a guy movie. But I remember looking at him going, you know, there's something about this guy. You know, there really is. And it he is he's got the chops to do this. I believe in him. I mean, you know, what can I say? Uh, I don't know, Eastland. I mean, we're looking at we're looking at right now all of these mergers, all of these buyouts. You know, it's really interesting to me. It's really it's going to be interesting what it's going to look like in 20 years. I mean, you know, let's put it this way: CGI technology is getting to the point where we might not be talking about actors anymore. Oh yeah, I mean, well, Vince Vaughn, uh, an old friend of mine, was in Las Vegas sitting at a bar, and she just felt this huge presence behind her. Vince Vaughn is 6'5", and she turned and looked, and it was him, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're Vince Vaughn!" And he gave her a hug, and she was like, "I was like," because she's like this big, she like disappeared. But he's a really cool guy. He's a South Side Chicago guy. Just a Bill Murray type. Uh, and I don't, no, I'm not kidding though. CGI is going to get to the point where if they're making a movie and you got someone who can approximate an actor's voice, they can go on, as long as the family lets them, forever. I mean, it's kind of creepy and weird, but in certain cases, you almost need to do that. I mean, you know, um, but again, back to the Lucasfilm drama. I um, I see it coming to a head. It's really interesting looking at Pablo's tweets on that public account, but all of them are very weird and very just kind of subdued, like they're waiting for the next shoe to drop or something. Yeah, I don't. I think Cam is right. I really, really do. I mean, and you know, if Flying Monkey #1 really is out, you're gonna see me dance, and I'm gonna be like, you know, because that's it, and Kennedy's done. She's gone, and we're gonna hear about Pablo before we hear about Kennedy. So no, he hasn't been wrong. He hasn't been wrong so far. He knows how to read what they're doing, and it's very passive aggressive what goes on in Hollywood, and it's the same kind of thing that goes on in Washington. Even though there are times when you see a direct attack coming, you know, it's very interesting to see how this is playing out because they fight by obliques. They come at you like this, not like that, but it's this oblique, passive aggressive sort of maneuvering. And it's very interesting how that happens, but Yeah, it does, but it also goes on with the Whisper Network and the the uh, uh, the cocktail party circuit. I mean, those people really put of a lot of you know, God, I can't even think of the right word. A lot of they put a lot into being part of that circuit, being known, having a name, being in that club. And, you know, I'm going to say this right now. They didn't want George in that club. He bypassed everybody, all the old money, all the rest of that stuff. And I'm going to tell you, no, not Gravity. They put a lot of stock into being in that club. I mean, that's who they are. That's exactly who they are. And back when George created Star Wars and Lucasfilm, he had it up in San Francisco and Marin County. And the reason is this: he didn't want to be part of LA. You know, yeah, well, it's the top dogs. It's the, you know, it you have social hives, and it's the top social hive in the film industry. It's the social hive with Barbara Streisand and you know, Warren Beatty and, you know, people whose names we don't know, who are very powerful. It's them, and they were. I mean, those people were pissed because you get this guy comes up with this idea, gets Alan Ladd Jr. to help him fund it, ends up breaking the bank with it, and has the merchandise rights because they didn't have the foresight to get it, and now, and he became a billionaire. He wanted to be independent of Hollywood because he hates it, because corporate structure inhibits creativity. And he didn't like being told how to make his movies. Okay? And Francis Ford Coppola, that's where, you know, American Zoetrope, that's where he works out of. The only one out of that group that is a big name, Spielberg. You know, he's in the big town. He's in LA. But he can work in that structure. They could there That's where the temperament is different. George has said he has never made a movie in Hollywood. Every movie he's made has been in Tunisia, England, or Australia. Think about it. And they've always hated him for that. And I'm sure when they saw, hey, Matt Piranha, I'm actually about to shut this down because I'm losing my voice. When he sold out to Disney, they were happy. And because, you know, they could see that, you know, this guy, this upstart, wasn't going to be around anymore. And then they realized they need him. And art doesn't survive without its artists. And you're looking at, I mean, the fact that they make these nonsensical bullshit movies, and I'm going to say it, the MCU is stupid. I liked Iron Man, but the rest of it is a snooze fest. I don't, and the reason why I liked Iron Man is because I like Robert Downey Jr. But, you know, that kind of movie making is gonna, people are getting bored with it. They want stories. They want creativity. They want original stuff. And I think that Favreau can do that. Yeah, you do. And, you also can't get in, suits get in the way of good storytelling because George said it himself. Movie, film executives are the least sophisticated people in the world, and they are. I mean, you know, I don't expect Bob Chapek to understand the deeper meanings of, you know, Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail, or The Last Crusade. I don't expect Bob Chapek to understand the deeper meanings of what the Force is. Okay, he looks at how much money it's bringing in. Now, here's where an example of an executive getting in the way. Bob Iger, when he looked at the overview that Lucas gave them for the trilogy, was like, it's too full of lore, it's too full of backstory, and it's too deep. I don't want to do this. Thanks, Bob. All right. First off, you broke a promise to George. Second of all, you're an idiot. Again, he's not a sophisticated guy. Okay. If you expect, these people who go to parties and eat, a $400 an ounce Russian caviar, and they're drinking $3,000 bottles of Screaming Eagle, to actually be able to carry on a conversation about Shakespeare, for crying out loud. Good luck, okay? I doubt, even though, David Lean's movie about, Peter O'Toole, Lawrence of Arabia, is Kathy Kennedy's favorite movie. She wouldn't know what it was about. She doesn't know anything about that. And if she does, she could probably rattle off names and dates and stuff, but she doesn't understand the meaning, all right, of what was really going on. And the implications of what T.H. Lawrence did, or T.E. Lawrence did, during World War I in the Middle East, and why we're still living with the reverberations of those things today. Because she's dumb as a board, okay? She's a moron, all right? Anyway, I am losing my voice to those I lost my temper at. Redneck Nerd and Troy, I'm sorry. It's just, I also, I have ADD at times. So if I see someone say something, I'll chase it. And I'll completely lose my train of thought. As you guys know, obviously, I do this unscripted. And it's just me and my phone. Oh God, that's great, Chris. Maybe I'll play it. Oh, okay, they're alive. Okay, that's weird. I'll jump over there. Talk to y'all later. See you around the galaxy. Behave, be well. If something else gets dropped soon, I will be back. Talk to you later. Bye.